Look who is in the house. I mean to tell you, I've missed his smile. I miss his enthusiasm. It has not been the same around here since football season ended. Everybody was so excited. Zim Whodey, welcome back, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing awesome. I'm doing really good. We got a big day coming up on Thursday night, Thom. Are you familiar with the NFL draft?
I am, but before we get to that, it looks to me like you've been doing a little homework back there. You got some curtains and stuff going on there. You look like you're kind of making some changes around the crib. I mean, you got it going on.
I'm doing some stuff. You see, I got some. Hold on this side. I got some soap. I got a coffee. I just drank some coffee. I got my coffee maker, a refrigerator. I'm just a normal guy, just like you, Thom.
Hey,
in my refrigerator, it's not that much stuff in there, but I'm working on it.
So, Sarah, how you doing? Your family good? Everybody all right? Your son doing all right?
Yeah, he's doing awesome, man. I just came back from Jamaica. I was there for like 5 days or whatever. Just came back, family trip. Had to get away from football for a second. So it was really dope. I just came back like 2 days ago, whatever. So I feel really good. I haven't talked football in a while, so I was so glad to talk to you yesterday.
I can see you got a little tan. You got a little bit. You got a little tan. Yep. People ask that question. I mean, and I'm being serious when I say this because I know this stuff, right? I know this stuff. My
really?
my stepfather was African American, right? And so I know, and I'd hear him talk about it. He looked at me, he says, "What, you think I can't get a tan?" Right. And I said, well, of course you can get a tan, right? I mean, the pigment of the skin might be a little bit different, but can you get sunburn?
I was just about to say that. My wife got a sunburn crazy. I was just about to say, you think I don't put on sunblock? Like my skin, my shoulders are like kind of burnt right now at this point. But yeah, I put on some. Okay. What sunblock are you wearing these days? You wearing 50, 70? What are you pushing?
No,
30,
hell
50,
no. I mean,
70?
look at me, Zim. Come on. I mean,
you look like you take a trip or two.
Well, no, I mean, I'm outside a lot for our son's high school lacrosse games. And we had a couple of games last week where it was like 80-something degrees, although we can't break 40 now. But it was like 80-something degrees sitting right in the sun for like 3 hours. So, yeah, I mean, get a little color. I see
the 1-800, call gambler if I'm having a gambling problem. I was just about to say I could throw down a little money on your son's lacrosse game if you really want to get some action going.
Well, I bet big money on him tonight. I can tell you that right now.
I'm gonna bet the house on him.
Bet the house on him. All right. So let's get to. Somebody said, "Thom, be careful." Zim, we're good, Thom, right? I mean, we know we're good. All right. Okay, so
we're gonna go over our sunblock regimen after we get off air.
Absolutely. All right, I want to go back. To this whole thing starting with Joe Mixon. Okay, you're close with Joe. Ooh. You have a relationship with Joe, and the whole 9 yards. What do you think is going to happen with Joe Mixon and his future with the Bengals? What do you think is going to happen? Because there's all kinds of stories and rumors and speculation. What happens?
I think the short answer is this. I feel like a lot of people were conditioned to think that he's like vastly overpaid for his position. And that's a big, significant portion of this whole deal. The whole off the field stuff kind of goes hand in hand with it, right? But if you look at it, a lot of people always phrase this, and this has been my number one thing, and I don't know why people say this. He's not making $12 million this upcoming year. He's making $10 million. His cap hit is $12 million. So when you put his money in the whole, the marketplace of the people around him, like David Montgomery, Miles Sanders and company and all those guys like that, they're making $7-8 million. Do we all think that Joe Mixon is better than Miles Sanders and David Montgomery? I would think most people would think so. Yeah, those dudes make $6 and $7 million. So this concept of him making so much significantly lower than that for a guy that just came off 1,300 yards and all-purpose yards in a down year. Remember, he only played 14 games out of 17. So I don't know when the conditioning process started. I know a lot of people to say that your preference would be a different guy or somebody to play better. That's fine. But market value, like online, like Spotrac, the companies that do it, they're saying he's valued at 12 million. He's paid 10. So that to me is like the beginning of everything. And that's where all the conversations come from. Me being a Bengals fan, sure, I want him to take a pay cut. But the likelihood of him taking a pay cut versus the likelihood of the Bengals asking him to take a pay cut, I think are very slim compared to what most people think. Remember, people thought he was going to get cut right after the season, and that never happened. People also thought P. Ryan would start over him one time. That never happened. My perception of Joe Mixon is a lot like how players look at Joe Mixon, like he's still like a top 10 running back. Now, a lot of people don't feel that same way, and that doesn't have anything to do with my relationship with him. That's just me watching football. Like 1,300 yards, all-purpose yards for a team that doesn't really run the football that much is still a lot. I remember I came on the show. You said, I think Joe Mixon was the best player on the field in the Bills game. And I always remember that, and I say that over and over in my head. And then what did they do the following week? They didn't give him the ball. But then who is the person that is like the scapegoat? It's like Joe Mixon for some weird reason. I think the Bengals value him a lot more than what a lot of people online do. And so you saw that with Callahan's son the other day where he said, Brian Callahan, we're looking for a back to complement Joe Mixon. And I think that a lot of people aren't processing how they view Mixon is different. And the breakdowns that I've given just now about who he compares to in a market, like Miles Sanders making $7 million, like people really think Joe Mixon should make less than Miles Sanders at $7 million or David Montgomery and all these guys like that. Even if you think that he should take a pay cut, what is the cut, like $2-3 million or something to get down to Miles Sanders level or something? Like this concept that he would go to $4 or $5 million. The other side that they never present to people is this. Say he doesn't take this pay cut that you're standing hard on and saying he must take a pay cut, right? You know that you would hypothetically, if he said no, give him to an opposing team like an AFC team, could be the Chiefs, could be the Bills, could be the 49ers or the Eagles, that you could give it to them for a discounted rate at like $4 or $5 million now that the market is now dried up. That's the other side of the spectrum that I don't think people think of. Like you would be handing somebody a top 10 receiving running back.
Yep.
He was top 3 this past season. He ended up third in receiving yards and in catches. He was third. In yards, he was 5th. Even with missing 3 games, you would just be handing that to an opposing team.
That's a good point.
And I think the Bengals are very cognizant, like they understand that too. It's like the downside is if you do cut him and you think you got this leverage, somebody's about to get him at a discounted rate. Now you might say, I don't care. That's cool. But now you're going to base all your hope on a rookie running back. And I just don't think that that's a pill. Now you could go back and go get Zeke, and I think that would work as a compliment to the new rookie running back. But running backs just don't, I don't know. My perception on this is very different than what I read online, I think.
Well, I mean, look, I think but the one thing I respect about you, Zim, all the time, no matter what, and we joke around a lot and kid around a lot, is, I mean, you're very, very informed and present opinions that a lot of people just want to throw out the door when it comes to mix. I mean, look, you know and I know. What's true, what's not true, I don't know. We're going to find out sooner or later. But this has not been a good offseason for Joe, just as far as the look is concerned. And now you throw that in with the financial part of it, so on and so forth. Okay, you got that. Next thing I want to ask you about, you thought a couple of weeks ago that the Bengals got this thing done with Tee Higgins. What are your thoughts on that?
I still feel the same way in this regard. The people that are around him, the people that I know, and, like, people do know this. Like, Tee Higgins came to our Twitter spaces to talk ball with us, and he announced to us that he had a number, he was wearing number 5. I feel like I'm pretty cool with a lot of different people. We have a lot of mutual, really good friends. I've never, there's pictures all over the internet. Me and Tee Higgins might be at a party or something like that, So there's all these different things that are there. So this concept that people would think that I would make it up is kind of crazy to me. I just think that maybe somebody was misinformed, or maybe they are at the point where they are finished in principle, but then they're ironing out other different aspects of it. Because the number one thing that I thought is immediately when I said that too is like the deal is done, is that, okay, it wouldn't really make sense for him to have a deal before Burrow. So maybe they're sitting on what they know, but then that doesn't really make sense either too, because as time goes by and say somebody like a Justin Jefferson sign or something like that, it doesn't help your cause out. So 100%, if the deal is done, you sign it and get that out the way, and you don't hold it back. You release it, and he has his own press conference. So there's a lot of different question marks about it. If he has, it hasn't released or anything yet, I just think that something changed. Something happened that, in my mind, I never reported it with a timetable or anything like that.
Right.
And I didn't even say it as a report. I just said it based off the information that I knew that was told to me. And I'm not just hearing that just randomly or just waking up with those thoughts. Like this all season, just recapping, I told people that Travion Williams was signed before he was signed. Foster Moreau was coming in for a visit before any of the big people. A lot of stuff. Awuzie being as healthy as he was, I've been preaching that for weeks. Like I literally seen him walking around. So like there's other things that I do know that sometimes I say, sometimes I don't. At that given moment, I thought that was a good time. Like I always forget that I'm not just talking to Bengals fans anymore. As like your son, how you found me on Instagram.
Right.
It's just originally I just was always talking to Bengals fans. Like, bro, like look, this is what we get, and I'm excited. But then I forget about like, man, there's agents. There's so many people that don't have your best interest. There's so many people that don't want the deal to be done. There's so many factors in something like just that one tweet that I wasn't calculated in my thought process. That's something normally I probably wouldn't have tweeted out. I just was excited. And I still think it's going to get done, but I don't know. I'm not an agent and I'm not a reporter.
All right. A couple quick things before we let you go. Draft. You leaning anywhere as far as position is concerned? I know you hear this stuff about we're going to take the best player when he's available. I get all that. But at the end of the day, with that 28th pick, what do you think the Bengals end up doing with that?
I think if you have the opportunity to get like an elite trench person, say it's offensive line or defensive tackle, that's where I go at. So if one of the big guys like a Van Ness, Nolan Smith, Miles Murphy, guys like that fall to you, you take that guy. Like, because that's day one. I like to marry my BPA with impact versus the need. The Bengals need interior pressure. Bengals need rotation. Bengals need a healthy dose of pressure that's even behind Trey Hendrickson and any leverage in that same situation. I feel the same way about offensive line, but you can't Jake Fisher or Cedric Ogbuehi yourself in the first round, so you can't reach. It really would just be like Darnell Wright, like first round. And then after that, then that's where I come back to Meyer. Meyer offers you something that a lot of people don't understand. I'm not looking for my running back to pass protect. I'm looking for a tight end that can be in line so that if a team dare blitz me, I'm sending running backs out to the flat. That's how Joe Mixon got 60 receptions. That's how Joe Mixon was third in the NFL in receptions, is by going out into the flats and just killing teams just like he did in the Bills game. And if you have a tight end that's in line, if you get yourself in a situation like the AFC Championship game, you have somebody on the line of scrimmage that can block, he can chip. If nobody comes, he can leak out, and now he's a weapon. Meyer, what he was asked to do at Notre Dame, 800 yards, number one target on his team, is steroids for the Bengals because of the blocking aspect. We just interviewed Irv Smith 2-3 days ago. I believe in Irv Smith, but at the same time, he doesn't offer you inline blocking, and that is where I'm looking for an extension of an offensive lineman, especially if I have question marks at right tackle. I'm not looking for a running back to block. The Bengals are the least blitz team in the National Football League. When people lead with, can the running back block or whatever, I get it. P. Ryan was on the field 60 times in pass pro. That breaks down to 3.2 times per game in a season. I'm not basing a running back. Imagine me saying, Thom, you think we should sign Nick Chubb for a couple $1 million? And you said, well, he can't pass protect. You would look at me like I would be looking at you like you're crazy. I'd be like, Nick Chubb is one of the best runners in the league. Running backs run and catch. I'm not really like, can they pass protect? Sure. But if I had a tight end that was inline blocking like a Meyer, That is something that the Bengals don't have. And then I fall back, and my last tier would be Emmanuel Forbes if he was there, or like Deonte Banks or one of the corners.
Okay. All right. Zim, it's great having you back, my man. We missed you. Welcome back from Jamaica. And we're going to be catching up a lot here soon. Now, tell everybody during the draft, you're going to be live on the air, right?
Yes. Thank you for reminding me that.
Sure.
I'm going to have a mock draft special on Wednesday on Cincinnati Pod. Make sure you follow Zim Whodey. Make sure you follow Cincinnati Pod. Thom, I'm putting the pressure on Thom. Thursday, I'm having a draft day special. It's going to be like 4 hours. Yep. Thom, I've asked to pop in on there. I have a star-studded cast. I don't know if anybody is as famous as you, but we do have a couple players.
Well, then you must be really digging near the bottom of the barrel, because if I'm closest to being the most well-known that's going to be on Cincinnati Pod, I wouldn't tell that publicly.
Thom, you're the man, so we need you.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna just leave it at that. We need you.
I'm gonna be there. I gave you my word.
Right.
I'll do anything for you, Zim. I'll be there for you, my man.
I got a star-studded cast. I got a guy. His name rhymes with cheater. He's gonna be on there. You're thinking there's only
cheater.
That guy's gonna
beer
rhymes with cheater.
Oh, cheater
rhymes with beater. So I got players, and I got talent like yourself, Thom. I got some high level. I got some old names. I got a Hugh Jackson. I got a lot of guys that are going to be pulling up. A lot of girls too, that are going to be pulling up to this extravaganza.
Are you having Derek Jeter on the program?
No, this is an NFL player that plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. So we have a lot of different.
Oh, I got you now. Okay, all right. The big fella.
It's a big guy. So I'm announcing that for the first time here with you, but we got a bunch of guys that are going to be on this show, and Thom's going to be on there. So if you're a fan of Thom's show here, you need to come on over to Cincinnati on Thursday. We're going to have a big draft.
What time you starting that up on Thursday?
Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and we're rocking all the way through, so you're going to be able to see my live reaction to the pick and everything.
Okay, well, you let me know when you want me to be there, and I'll be there. I don't want to get in anybody's way. But like I said, you're always here for us, Zim, and we're always on Off the Bench going to be there for you. We love you, my man. Welcome back.
Yes, sir. I'm off the bench.
Yes, you are. All right, Zim, take it easy, my man.